with a keyboard and some tea. Lives a man with a funnel plan as clever as
check.
He ditched his law degree for plugins that go zing. Now WooCommerce dances every time he pulls a string. Hey, evil genius. He's got a...
All right. Hey, good morning. There it is. It is Spence. It is Friday, April 3rd, 2026. Every time I say the date, I kind of freak out because how is it? January, February, March, April? Really? Oh my goodness. And even hope you guys are doing well. I apologize for, and you can kind of still hear it. I apologize that I have been virtually offline with videos all week because quite frankly, my voice has just been shot. Good morning, Lloyd. Let me thank you, by the way, sound and audio. Thanks for joining me today. I have literally been off week because the benefit of travel, and I am actually supposed to maybe travel this upcoming week again, is that you get to go new places, explore new things. I had a wonderful spring break, but I came back and I was fine the whole trip, but I picked up one of those coughing babies on the airplane kind of things, and it just hit me right in the voice and the throat. So all week I was doing amazing amounts of coding. The side benefit, though, is I am one of those people who very rarely takes medicine or drugs because I had so many things I had to take for my other excuse me, for my back surgeries. But on Monday and Tuesday, I think I had to take pseudoephedrine. And for a guy like me, taking pseudoephedrine, it's like pouring rocket fuel into a car engine. I was just a madman with productivity. I think I worked 2 16, 18-hour days and just didn't even feel tired, which was amazing. So today what we're going to do is we're talking about another WordPress plugin won't save you, but from Fernando might. We have rounded the corner officially, and I now can say that the Minute Launch plugin suite and all the accessories have reached what I want to call almost the full IKEA model. That is to say, I've achieved the vision of something that cohesively and coherently is a full system that somebody for free can just start using and then pay incrementally to whatever level they want to get the additional services. But it means that the things that it actually delivers across the spectrum, from replacing ChatGPT to being a full-blown custom business operations, are all within the same system. And the only difference is what somebody pays. And it means for you as either the end beneficiary of that or as an intermediary, you now have a system that is as, I think, simple or easy to use as anything else in the world because it replaces the human tools with AI interaction. But visually, metaphorically, mentally, many of you have expressed that, you know, something like to the effect of what I just said. Spence, every time I come back, there's 10 new things and I can't keep up with it. Well, I appreciate you for that. And I think it's true. And I'm actually happy about that. But now that we have those things, it turns out that they've all been going towards this final conclusion anyway. And I want to explain this in a way that kind of honors the fact that I'm not going to go an hour and 20 minutes today. I'm going to probably be a shorter time, but kind of outlines and demonstrates visually what we've got and how it works. So to that effect, let me do the dance with StreamYard. They still have not, you know what StreamYard could do, which would be amazing, is in the interface that I'm using, if they just, instead of with hide panel and all this, if they just had some drag handles that I could adjust the side panels, that would be enough. Instead, it's toggle on, toggle off. And as a result, I have to play this game in order to just get stuff open and to move it to another screen. So my apologies to you guys because I love using StreamYard, but its interface sometimes makes me a little frustrated. Let me do one little bit of housekeeping, and then I'm going to share my big screen because there is a lot to talk about also in terms of the value proposition. Good morning, Julie. Good to see you in there as well. I haven't seen you in a bit. I have a lot to update with you too, so hopefully we can catch up this weekend. If you'd like to have a call, you're welcome. Let's hope. There we go. Okay. Let me just do one quick piece of housekeeping here because I want to close off and restart my browser because it was just memory overload. And if I don't do that, I'm worried that when we go ahead to try to share, I'm not going to be able to share with you. So hang with me. I'm all in good shape. I'm trying not to keep you guys waiting too long. It's just I have to offload some stuff from the browser and restart it. And then I'm going to pop open my whole screen here. Okay, ready to do that. Let's close down the main Chrome window. Close down, close down, close down. Okay, now I'm going to share. One of these days I'll prepare in advance, but I was working literally right up to the moment of the show. And that's the way it rolls. Okay, you guys can see my desktop, right? And let's open up Chrome. I'm going to do this. I'm going to pop a new window open. And let's also size this out. I was working on the Minute Launch coach here. I'm going to pop him out of the way. Nope, finish up. I'm going to say finish up so I can close you. All right, let's start with some basic concepts because I think this is really relevant. In terms of what has happened with Minute Launch, the brandings, and so on and so forth. You guys kind of know this is ridiculous to say it again. All of this started way back when with WP Launch 5 being essentially an agency that provided the software and the solutions. And we were solving this problem of a Frankenstein monster shiny ball syndrome. The reason that this is relevant to what I'm going to talk about now is that most all of my customers have one or more of probably 60 plus CRMs, including HubSpot, Salesforce, Infusionsoft, ActiveCampaign, and there's a number of other ones. Indeed. Those customers also tend to be the ones using WordPress, much like yourselves. When all of this stuff happened, I had been solving the problem by doing manual work, taking tools that were very difficult, that were expensive, and making them all available. So WP Launchify software bundle was essentially, what if as an agency, I brought all of the software, gave it to you in an easy to deliver format. And what if I helped you by figuring out how to adjust all the controls, get everything coordinated? Now, I want to compare just that concept to the world we live in now, where you guys remember, I'm sure you know this, hold on, Tony Stark Jarvis. Anybody who has seen any of the Iron Man movies knows that there's I don't want to do the video, so that was not a good idea. Knows that there's a character, Tony Stark, who's Iron Man, and he has these amazing tools. I like to actually think that someday I will have some of these tools as well. It would be pretty amazing. We're not quite there, getting there. But in other words, Spence sitting at his desk with Fernando, but like with all this 3D stuff. I got to be honest. I used to think this is like fairy tale stuff. This is theoretically possible now. I mean, I've built simulators, flight simulators and other things, but like we're not that far off because we've got virtual headset technology. We've got these wonderful things that can do, overlays. The point is, he had Jarvis. Jarvis was sort of like the antithesis of Hal from 2001 Space Odyssey, right? Hal 2001. That was where, ironically, 50 years earlier, Dave Bowman was on this long-term trip, and the HAL 9000 created at the University of Illinois in Champaign, where I went to school, was controlling everything. But HAL was programmed by a bunch of lunatics to sacrifice the human beings at the expense of the mission, which was to get to Jupiter, because there was a signal from a monolith that came from, I mean, I get kind of chills talking about it because a lot of this stuff seems like oddly relevant. Hal lost his mind when Dave and the other spaceman wanted to have a conversation. They locked themselves inside of the capsule, thinking that Hal couldn't hear them. Kind of like me when I can't say the word Alexa, because over there she'll hear me, or Siri, because my phone will hear me. Turns out the HAL 9000 could read lips. So if you don't know the story, great movies. Imagine a benevolent version of this, like Tony Stark's Jarvis. We have Fernando. Fernando makes it possible to orchestrate all of the various things that need to be done, but he does so in a way that is essentially using the tools inside of the Minute Launch system. So one thing I want to kind of explain to you, back to like getting started for free and stuff, is imagine the Minute Launch plugin manager as the tools, the desk, the kitchen appliances available to Fernando. And imagine now that we've gotten to this point that Fernando is the agent that you and everybody else will speak to. To that end, even though this isn't the final conclusion of it, imagine that if you install this free plugin for yourself or your customers, the Minute Launch plugin manager is a white labelable. It is a tool that can be white labeled to whatever branding you need, where it has Fernando's stuff in it, and it could be customized, by the way, I should say, to whatever your particular project might be. So in other words, your plugin manager, if you're in this level of the ecosystem, could be white labeled to whatever your client or your project thing is, and only the things you need and want based upon what you paid for or whatever arrangement might be show up in here. So kind of like ordering a custom meal, right? You get only the things you want in a box with the label that you need and want. So I'm not going to show you this to be weird, but I'm going to just do this like ironically. Julie Clark's stuff. Okay. Imagine it's white labeled and it doesn't obviously have the image source of my logo. It has your logo in there, right? Fernando could have access to whichever or all of the components you need. Out of the box, Fernando is able to answer questions not only about any of the stuff in your box or about your particular setup, but he's also now, and this is important, been trained on all 88,000 plus plugins in the WordPress ecosystem. Out of the box for free, he is able to answer questions and show documentation about how all of the plugins in the ecosystem work together along with the Minute Launch stuff. So if we went back here to this panel where Spence used to have the whole business of, hey, what if you call Spence? He can answer questions for free about your Frankenstein monster WordPress site and give you some plugins in the software bundle that replace all these crazy things, but also give you instructions and hands-on about how to fix stuff. That was some free time plus paid consulting time and a lot of human labor. Now you have Fernando, who knows about everything in the WordPress ecosystem and knows about the Minute Launch system plugins, and he can be specifically trained on things that you have for your particular solution or brand, and he can answer questions for free to you and your customers. But best of all is he can pop out and he can act just like on the left here. I've got, my cursor installation using Fernando in the desktop. He can pop out and act exactly like Fernando in cursor. Now let me pause for a second. Why is this relevant? Imagine for free All one has to do is install the Minute Launch plugin. Imagine for free, the Minute Launch plugin manager could be white labeled. I don't want to say for free, like for free, there won't be a relationship. That's not accurate. Imagine if you have a relationship with me in some way and I give you a white label version that your plugin can be installed for free, and it has your particular curated software, your particular brand, your particular Fernando, who's trained not only on the entire WordPress ecosystem, but also on the Minute Launch tools that it can use and your particular custom applications. I want to stop and ask you guys if you understand what I'm saying. So in other words, instead of somebody having to pay to get ChatGPT or Claude or Perplexity or any of the other desktop tools from Claude Code to whatever, or Cursor or Goose, all that somebody needs to do is install a free plugin that is either the standard Minute Launch system with Fernando or is your white labeled version of that. Can I get a high five on this? I mean, there's a few guys here, Lloyd or Julie, or if John is there, etc. The idea is this: we need a vehicle that is easy to transport into our clients' business ideas, whether it be that we're building something custom or it's something standard, whether it be something like I'm going to show you that's the, okay, thank you, Lard. I appreciate you. Whether it's something that is a completely custom, good morning, Zach, branded solution that has nothing to do with WordPress, or whether it be related to things in WordPress. We need a, I don't want to use this term lightly, but like a benevolent Trojan horse. We need a delivery vehicle that delivers the same instant understanding and sensibility and capabilities as somebody who just uses ChatGPT, but is sophisticated enough to also manage everything else that comes. Why? Because here's the reality check. I don't know whether AGI has happened yet. I think I would argue it's about as close as it needs to be from a practical standpoint, other than the robots waking me up in the morning and making me breakfast. But I can say that we have reached a stage that absolutely this year, 100% this year, to get stuff done will be like this. Put on your headset, walk about your day, and hey, Fernando, do this. Hey, Fernando, do that. Hey, Fernando, what's going on? Hey, Fernando, what's happening? Hey, Fernando, I don't know how to feed myself. We have reached a point of spoon feeding human beings where, in my opinion, for those of us on the early adopter curve, we are already seeing the future. A good majority of your customers or potential customers have not. This is that window in the curve. Let's get a little graphic on this one, where we now have this crazy opportunity, and where, especially for the WordPress folks, you're not going to find satisfaction making more WordPress related stuff. You're going to find satisfaction finding WordPress people who use one of the four big things, especially HubSpot, Salesforce, Infusionsoft, ActiveCampaign. Online drawing. Let's see if I can use this Sketchpad. I've never used this. Let's see how fun this could be. If I took a pen, oh, not bad. Okay. Let's see if Uncle Spence can figure out how to use this online tool in no time flat. Well, fail on that, because they don't make it easy for me to use the tools. I'm going to go with, what was the, I'll go with this here, Whimsical. Come on, Whimsical, don't fail me now. Okay, let's make a new board. And all I want to do is I want to do a little drawing. And what I was saying is like, oh, thin marker. How about if they just give me the controls like this one does for color picker? Wouldn't that be easy, right? Okay, and then I can do thick marker. Okay, here is my shaky bakey vertical curve line. Where are we right now? Where we are right now is, this is where I wish I had a handheld pencil. We are right about here in the curve. And this line is going upwards, and it's going to come over the top, and it's going to come downwards, okay? We are right in this sweet spot right here. This is the place where those of us who are early adopters are starting to build the metaphors, like the foundationals. But once we get to here, and abso-freaking-lutely when we get to here, it starts to become too late. Once you go past the top of the curve at the top, that's when you get a call from your mom or your uncle or your grandmother or something, if they're still alive, or in our case, my case, some of my friends, because we're all old. Oh my God, did you see what I could do with ChatGPT or something like that? Because at the early adopter stage, you are the concierge. You have this opportunity where, using the things that I will be including in today's conversation and also with Fernando, I can give you a full factory with a dude, Fernando, that can achieve with a prompt things that were, oh my God, almost unbelievable just a couple months ago, even when I started, and now are routine. I 100% guarantee you I will have this down probably in this next couple of weeks, if not month, where it will literally be take an idea, have a conversation of a couple minutes with Fernando, or pour in a conversation that you had with your client, and he will just, in the factory, build the whole thing, spit it out, and have the capacity to do the kind of things that I'm going to show you today, to run it, manage it, track it, and even improve upon it based upon the real world performance. Why is that relevant? Well, the only two things that we humans have as an advantage right now are human relationships, i.e., I am literally breathing so far today, and you are too. You and I, as humans, recognize each other's humanity. There's still an important thing to that. Number two, speed to execute. There's an infinite amount of technology now that is virtually free. That was not the case not that long ago. There's always, in the past, cost and gatekeepers. When I started doing web work and internet videos, a video editing card was $10,000 in a Pinnacle PC with an XT chip and a 286 processor and a 5 megabyte hard drive. I mean, it's funny to say these things now. Now I have infinite power. I have infinite power. There is literally nothing I cannot access right now to do things that would have been a fairy tale 5 minutes ago. So it's not about who has what stuff or who gatekeeps what stuff. It's about who is the fastest to execute. If you can find the relationships with people who are on this part of the journey, they have not seen the tidal wave coming, right? They're right in this spot. You can be the expert, and you can take what you know to be infinite stuff, including the easy thing I'm showing you in a second again, and just say, here's a series of questions about your business. Let me see if I can help you out. For example, do you use a CRM right now? What is it? How much do you pay for it? What do you do with it? What's the size of your list? How much of your list do you use in actual customer sales? What's the percentage ratio between list and paid subscribers? When somebody subscribes, what do you do for automating and keeping track of their relationship with you or what they do? In other words, when you go down that and then you ask questions about what software do you use? How much do you pay somebody to help you with the interface and using that complex software? How many team members do you have? How much do you pay them? What do they do? You start to get answers that are shockingly in your favor for introducing somebody to even the rudimentaries of what if we gave you one plugin in a hosted site, either on a box that's separate or on your own, that will deliver all of the things you're now paying, typically $3,000, $6,000. Some people I've come across are paying $10,000 a month between the software, the SaaS services, the employees, the support, and they don't even do anything with it. They literally just send out an email once a week or something. They literally have somebody making for their supplement business, Happy Valentine's Day sale, 50% off. I'm like, what? Nobody buys supplements because it's Valentine's Day. Like, that doesn't even make sense, but they don't know any better. Okay. With this concept in mind, let me walk you through Fernando and some of the new things that I built this week that I couldn't announce because I didn't have a voice. First things first, even though Fernando's in Minute Launch, if I use him in this interface here, I have the promise that I delivered of what we talked about a long time ago. See these little chiclets? These are recipes. These are examples of just a dozen. It could be unlimited of, instead of people being forced to figure out what they want to ask, you can give them little recipes. These are prompts that use the skills and the knowledge he has of all of this information. So membership and courses, it just says, like, I want to accomplish this outcome. Launch a membership or course site. Which Minute Launch plugin should I use? So this is an example where you can use this interface custom branded to your idea. Like Julie with Halise Shooting, or with Lloyd, whatever business may be, with John, with whatever it is that your business is, this metaphor primes the pump into, let's close the pop out, Fernando, into Fernando, and he's able to give a perfect answer. But he can go farther, because I can say as a follow-up, wait a second, can I use WooCommerce, the plugin? Now, if I ask about any particular plugin in the ecosystem, whether it be in the software bundle or WordPress, he knows about it. Just like Tony Stark's Jarvis. I want you to keep in mind, this is free, because the current version of this, notice, absolutely, he knows step by step what to do. The reason this is free is because I built a vehicle, the Trojan horse vehicle, that is using a hosted repository that has thousands and thousands of plugins indexed for their documentation. And it uses a free open router key with one of the free LLMs to act as the initial brains. And in doing so, that means that we've got a situation where for free, we can have Fernando live without doing anything. Watch this party trick. If I go to try.new, which is ZipWP, launching instantly a free site. Let's also give a little more real estate to the screen here to benefit you guys. All right. If I go to plugins, add plugins, all I need to do to get the Minute Launch plugin is it's minutelaunch.com/ML, or press the button on any of those sites. It downloads the latest plugin, which somebody just says keep. Now, when you go here to load that plugin, this, by the way, could also be delivered. I want to just make it clear. This could be delivered as a ready-to-use site. In other words, it's totally possible to just have the plugin manager installed and ready to go. And when you do, you get the benefit of not even needing to see this other nonsense of, we could get rid of Hello Dolly and whatever. So it's a one plugin site. Now, why is this relevant? Because instantly, if you think about it, you can have an experience where now somebody immediately, with no extra work, pop out or otherwise, this is important, the pop out stuff, can have a desktop tool that compares to what they're thinking they're supposed to get if they get ChatGPT or they get Perplexity or one of these things, even like a Claude or Cursor. So you can see the metaphor here, whether this interface is this interface or the new, more modern one that I'm going to show you in a second. Now they could technically have answers to questions. Now, I have limited this So it's not like a search tool for the internet. That's not what it's designed for. It's designed for answering questions about how do I build a website? Well, imagine now they've got their janky old WordPress website, or they've got their business that's running on HubSpot. And this is now able to instantly, for free, on a brand new, I just set it up, one plugin thing, answer all of the questions for you, right? Now, in some cases, like here, this is interesting. Let's see if he can do it in the live try.new. Try.new is interesting because I'm going to take responsibility for this only because I think they block all externalities because this is a free site. So it probably, I'll have to see what they're doing to this. It's probably due to them. In fairness to me, let's go to InstaWP. I think because these are demo sites, what they're trying to avoid is exactly what I'm showing you could do. Imagine if somebody could use their free website and launch a porn site in 2 seconds. I think that's what they're trying to avoid. So let's use InstaWP, which doesn't have that problem. I'll do the same party trick. I can't account for try.new because Adam and Sujay are smart dudes, and I'm sure they've already figured out that people were launching an endless series of free porno sites or something, or spam bots or something. Let's use Insta where it doesn't matter, because the takeaway is the same. I'm hopefully leading you gently towards understanding why, when I show you the other appliances in the kitchen that Fernando has, this is an important thing. So a client or you has a site that could be preloaded with this plugin, or we're just going to load it again here real quick. They have access to all the benefits of the one-click updates and all the rest of that stuff. Okay, let's try build a website here on InstaWP. It should connect. And this is one of the conversations too that I've had in the past. I've told you guys that I really only wanted to do self-hosting for people because I wanted to control the experience. That's no longer necessary because this is the vehicle that allows me to give you or the clients the freedom. Notice while he's thinking what's below. It's a very subtle menu, like Chipotle, of what they could do if they wanted to go up to the next level. And if they do subscribe to anything, this toggles away. It's not in your face. It doesn't trail you around. If you subscribe, all that's left would be the plans and upgrade button, and this will toggle away. So it's a vehicle for you to also get into the client's heads about the other products and services that you would have. This billboard, this menu here, is available for everybody to use. Okay, so next, let's say he's answered this. He's working, which is fantastic. If I want to know about email or CRM, I want to know a specific product. Imagine now I can save this chat and I build up for myself a repository of knowledge. There's a stickiness from an instant plugin that allows somebody to immediately use this guy in popped out version or not and build up his or her own library of stuff. I don't want to minimize that effect. So the easiest way to get people to use your product, and what I'm trying to deliver here, is what if we gave them instant satisfaction of a tool that solved many of their little old lady swallowed a fly problems and questions, and then they could save all of those chats. Now, pretty neat, right? And by the way, I understand that this seems a little slow, but the reason this is slow is because it's free. It's using the free LLMs, and it's connecting to a database that has 87,000 plugins of content in it. So it's acting like you'd expect, kind of like you're on the airline, and it's just a little slow. It obviously goes fast when you're using something that's indexed or it has vector databasing and so forth. But for free, people don't expect much. By the way, I'm going to answer a question here. As an agency, having that conversation with the agent dude is critical. Given that, does it make sense from a relationship point of view to include prospects in that agent talk as a differentiator? Lloyd, I don't normally I'm pretty quick. I don't follow exactly what you're asking me. Ask me that just a little bit differently because I want to answer that question. I think you're onto something, but I'm not sure I understand the angle. And then, can you charge more because you show the value up front? Yes, because here's why. And by the way, he finally does come up with his, answer and so forth. But what I'm saying is, when you have a prospect who is a business owner using any of the components of WordPress, many or most of them have a overpriced, under capacity, underutilized CRM. That, in my experience, is the low-hanging fruit to start your conversation, because you can talk about WordPress software, you can talk about hosting and backup and support, but really when you talk about the SaaS services like the CRM, that's where people are getting really ripped off. Ripped off because, for example, HubSpot is going to sell them $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month of stuff that they could be doing for free with Fluent CRM. And when you ask them about their membership and you ask them about what their team is doing, they all get stuck in the same thing. Learn dash is hard, this is hard, that's hard, blah, 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 blah. So I would start with the conversation about that, and then ask me the question again if you want about, I'm not sure, including prospects in the agent talk as a differentiator. All right. And I will answer that. So now we've got Fernando. We've got the ability for him to answer questions. He's built in for free updates. We know the simplicity of the plugin manager with the custom stuff, which, by the way, you get the Minute Launch Canvas block for free. We know that somebody can get different services. Notice the pricing model I have here: free, software only, $47. That's the software bundle plus the AI stuff. No support from Spence, and it's only going to be the core of the AI software. It's not going to be the whole suite. Self-hosted is all the AI software in the suite plus the traditional stuff, $97 a month. Still self-hosted, still no support, meaning person. Fully hosted, $197. That extra money triggers the hosting part, which is nice and convenient, triggers the backups and the security and the email support, which to many people is worth every penny of it. These have those built-in revenue shares we talked about, right? So 40, 20, and 10. 40, 20, and 10, I believe it is. And then there's a fully hosted plus, which includes actual services done by the dudes. Work in your own business model, this interface. Now you're going to start to see when I talk about next. This week, I have flushed out a number of really, really important and relevant new features. Let's start with a couple of them, because if Fernando, i.e. Jarvis, has access to all these capacities, you should know going into it how they blend together in terms of an outcome. So if I go over here and I look at in Minute Launch, where I've got all of these capacities, we've got the traditional ones. Let's organize these this way. The Media Hub peer-to-peer. We know what that is. That's where you can manage and manipulate the Media Hub library stuff, create images, noun project icons. We can search for imagery to start with and so forth. Minute Launch Claw is going to go away. That is a feature that is going to be built into Fernando. Minute Launch Coach is going to go away because Minute Launch Coach is now going to be called Fernando. An important naming convention. Here's why. By calling him Fernando and using the visual metaphors of like, he's the guy you just talked to and everything else happens from there, it's easier for people to understand. Oh, Fernando has all these great tools and capacity. The tools will have single word names: Media Hub, Fathom, header footer, image editor, maybe 2-word names, remodeler, research, social, prospecting, receivables, and so forth. You follow me? All right. I will come back to these individually, but let me show you a few of these that are really relevant to what I've been doing this week, and they have not been shown yet in public, at least demonstrated. Let's start with header footer. Header footer is my answer to, in practice, the last month or so, since having Simple Site and since having Canvas block. We have clients that do well if they have the simplest site and just it's all done in Simple Site. We have clients that have a need because they have a custom build out for using Minute Launch Canvas block. But this gosh darn cadence, which I still love having for all of the things that it delivers in the box, gets in the way. Enter header footer. Header footer solves two problems, and it introduces the concept of the Minute Launch laboratory. The problem that it solves is, what if I want to use the complexity and features of the pages, posts, custom post type, and normal, custom plugin that's built, but I want to still get custom headers and footers built by my dude without having to commit to Simple Site. Like, in other words, there's 3 use cases. 4. Regular WordPress site, ho-hum, go to sleep. Fully done by the dude as full HTML pages or Simple Site. Okay, but then you're stuck with that. Cadence doing the theme with Canvas block in the middle and no help. Okay, good, but then you're stuck managing the header and footer yourself. Or this new header footer. It gives you 4 modes of operation that you can do manually if you want. If you are a human, you could set the image, do the brand, do the colors. All the controls are here for the humans. But better than that, I introduced this concept, which is a solution that replaces the heaviness of using the Fluent MCP. So I need to pause for a second. Highest 5s, Julie. Let me explain another concept. That this is one of the things that I love our relationship, and I had a long talk with Ann Stevenson. Ann is probably not here today because she said to me, I talk to her in private a lot now. She said, I just can't pull out enough information from the hour of time to be useful because you keep updating and changing. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely, I do. I explained to her what we're talking about now, but one of the takeaways was MCP, the Fluent MCP, has 191 tools in it as a walkie-talkie. It's like packing trunks and going on the Titanic at the beginning of the movie. If you have multiple websites, you literally have to take the config file and you have to put in the modified config file for each of those sites. So now you could have 5 sites with 191 tools. That's 2,500 sweaters that you packed into your poor dude on the desktop. And he's like, no, I can't concentrate on more than 80 things at once. Imagine if instead I figured out a way that on any of the appliances, any of the tools in the kitchen, there was a laboratory attached. The laboratory was a folder on your desktop if you wanted, optionally, but it was a lightweight, kind of like the tin cans and string walkie-talkie when we were kids, lightweight way for the dude in your site or the dude on your desktop to talk to that particular appliance. Like, here's the header footer appliance that Fernando can use to make a recipe with your site's header footer. All we need to do is take, and this is a burnable key. All we need to do is go to the particular site, generate a new key with this button. So it's disposable and it's safe, but there's also another metaphor that I'm going to tell you, which is in the final version of this, the keys won't even be relevant. The keys are going to live in a safe folder on your desktop. They will be outside of the chat. That's why the folder is helpful. The folder will also be the place where your other agentic tools and Fernando can share and save and synchronize back and forth between your desktop and the various sites. So imagine, again, with one click, any of the appliances in the Minute Launch suite and your own stuff can instantly be communicated to by just generating a key, clicking a copy button, and then opening up a dude. Let's take Goose and let's do a new chat with Goose, and I'll show you how this works. Goose right now is, by the way, he's using the Xi GLM5. He's using the Frontier model. Cost me $1.25 per million versus $25 per million. He's 1/20th the cost. Okay, what I'm going to do is two things. I'm going to paste in this walkie-talkie string, and I'm going to tell him, good morning, Goose. I'm on a live show, and I just gave you instructions how to connect to my headerfooter.instawp.co site with a disposable API key. Can you tell me that you're connected to the site, and I want you to test some things for me? As quickly as this, your dude, Goose, using Frontier models, or you could do it with Cursor, you could do it with Claude, you could do it with even, he hates me, but ChatGPT. Any dude can do this now. Why? Because unlike using the Fluent MCP, which by the way is still valid, we're not loading 191 sweaters to go on a trip to the mall. We're grabbing a backpack that has a couple tools in it that instantly connects, right? And so he is now, I wish I could make his font bigger. I don't know if I do this, maybe it's going to break him. Hold on, let me see. No, I can't. I don't know how to make his font bigger. I have to figure out how to do that. But he's connected. See where he's connected? I've connected to header footer InstaWP. Now, here's what's awesome. I'm going to blow you guys away. Header footer doesn't just make like shitty little websites. It makes holy shit websites. Okay. So this is an example of what header footer did yesterday in a live call with, this is with John. Notice the middle of the sandwich is just the default stuff. But I said, make a custom, I said, John, what's your favorite team? He said, the Lakers. I said, make a custom site and have all the colors of the Lakers, have it with very complex multi-panel things, including scrolling boards and this and that. It can make anything under the sun. Now, it depends on the model you use. So for example, for coherence, I was yesterday using this guy who is in Cursor. So I'm going to call him up and I'll just use him so that we have cohesiveness. Otherwise, you know, we might go into like the artiste changes his thought process. But we'll stay with the dude I was using. And by the way, the dude I was using in Cursor was using Composer 2. That's another conversation. I used $3,000 of Opus in about 4 days last month. I decided to turn off the overage capability because even for me doing well, I can't afford to blow $3,000 on Tiffany diamond boxes when I know I can get the same thing at Costco for 1/20th the cost. Composer 2 is built into my plan at Cursor. If I go to Cursor and I look at my spending tab, I have done the following thing. Notice here, if I go, I'm on the Ultra plan for $200 a month. If I go to my spending tab, notice my on demand, I have set a fixed limit of only $10 extra. Notice I've already burned up 100% of my API usage because I was using Opus for this month for some stuff, but I've only used up 25% of my normal usage, which means I still have a healthy amount of stuff. So I have been using, ironically, Composer 2, which does actually do pretty well. It is not as good as Opus for getting things right the first try, but it does work really pretty well for what I'm going to show you. By the way, Lloyd has this question. Let me just see. Okay, yes. So Lloyd is saying, when talking to a prospect, a lot of times they don't know what they want or need. So up front, use the dude in the prospecting. Yes. And that's what I'm going to show you next. So using the tool to prospect is 100% correct. I'm going to show you how this comes together. And I didn't think I was going to go this long today, but my voice seems to kick in. So if you guys want to hang with me, I'm going to try to go faster. This guy is all set up. Let's just double check he's still connected. I'm on my live office hours show now. Are you still connected to headerfooter.instawp.co that you can modify the header and footer into something else? And with him, see, I can change the size of his font. I got to learn the shortcut key for Goose. He's checking if he's got that tin can walkie-talkie, which is disposable, and I'm pretty sure he does. Okay, since he has it, I'm just going to pretend, oh, somebody called out a team. Let's do the Chicago Bulls. I can go to using the tools that we have, like, for example, here on Minute Launch, I could grab a logo or an icon and help him out because remember, the Media Hub has image import. And if I wanted to do so, Chicago Bulls, I can find the Chicago Bulls logo online. And Lloyd, don't let me end without answering your question because I'm going to get to it, but just in case I get lost in a second. Let's say I take any of these, I can just add this to the media library, or I could just grab it, by copying the image address. It doesn't make a difference. I'm going to paste this in. I'm going to say, to show everybody what you can do, update the header and footer of the site for the Chicago Bulls basketball team, including the colors and news about what's happened in the last couple days with the team. Okay. As simple as use your words. I'm talking to my dude on the desktop who is connected with either the key that I give you for Open Router or your built-in cost, or this could be the Fernando interface that pops out. Now, let me show you while he's doing that what the new version of the Fernando interface for Coach looks like. Remember, Coach gives us the capability of configuring all of our data source. Minute Launch Coach's name will be now called Fernando. Since I can give Fernando access to any and all of my custom content on or off of the site, meaning in that desktop folder, connecting to stuff that on my computer I have, or in the WordPress website with all this post types, when I go to him now, and let's make sure he's the latest version, by the way, just to make sure. I'm going to update the plugin and make sure. Yeah, 4044. Okay, he's good. If he is the latest version, as of this morning, this is what he looks like. He has a very clean interface that should remind you of using ChatGPT or Gemini or anything else mobile. And he has access to, of course, my contacts. He has access to my media, my skills, my blocks, my correspondence. But the idea is he can either be on my mobile phone or, like we talked about, he can pop out. So if he pops out, and I have these skills and he's in the site, he's on my desktop, he can access my desktop stuff, but he'll be able to, for free, act as a liaison to doing anything I want. He, with his ability to talk with the voice or not, with my headset, will be able to just talk to me. He, on my mobile phone, will be able to use the tools to do stuff and tell me they're done and report back because he's going to have the claw asynchronous capability in reporting. So in answer now to Lloyd's question, I would say for a client, you're going to have a conversation with a client, probably on Zoom. I do all the stuff in Zoom. And then, as you know, all of these clients end up inside of my Fathom. My Fathom is set to look for. Here's actually my call with John Lawler from yesterday. Here's a call with Jimmy Jensen and Dave Burns, who are longtime clients. They just became VIP clients from yesterday's call. So here was the call with them. We brainstormed a shit ton of stuff. Then Fernando, who was listening, here's your answer, Lloyd, went into, I'm going to show you my Gmail, went into my mail and sent these two fellows. I'm going to show you this because they're longtime clients, so I don't think they have any problems with me showing this. They sent them this email. Let me get rid of the word Jimmy so you can see it. Sent this email to Jimmy and David about everything that happened in our call. Okay. And I asked them to send me back a response that says approved, start VIP. And David says approved, start VIP. So 100%, I'm not only using this and doing this, but it made all the difference in the world, because what happened was I basically had a situation where an existing client with an existing website that was a custom client years ago, 2018, came to me with problems. We had the conversations, and Fernando on the left was in on all of the conversations. Absolutely, you're going to have Fernando popping out of the screen doing the same thing and showing your client, you're getting Fernando. And like Oprah says, and you're getting Fernando, and you're getting Fernando. We're all going to have Fernando, and Fernando is going to be the thing or the person that replaces the need to have to talk to you or Spence after it's trained. And what I explained to these guys was, I am going to set you up building with Fernando and train Fernando, but I'm always going to be here to talk to Fernando, and he's going to be able to answer me, whether he's in the format of this or he's in the format of this. And in doing so, I think that is the differentiator, right? What time and day is it? Now, I want to say this interface is my project this weekend, because I have a client, Michelangelo, who's been very patiently waiting for some advanced capabilities that I'm trying to merge the simple site AI guy, the old coach, the dashboard version of what Fernando has. I'm trying to merge everything together into a system that has one interface, this, and that does stuff that we need it to do. Like, for example, let's do a new chat that gives, like, for example, HTML output in a way that's usable. Create a basic HTML page and show it in the preview window. Okay. If we can have the dude from this free site as capable as ChatGPT or anything else, and he works with all of the knowledge that we've given him and all the skills and all of the recipes, that thing that I talked about and we discussed and I dreamed about in all these other conversations, we're here. And then you combine it with what I've shown you before, which has the asynchronous claw capability along with the voice capability. The dream is real. Okay. And I can now save this, reuse this. I can have them use a different skill, a different color scheme. That's not important. The point is that these tools of being able to show stuff and demonstrate it in the site, in the pop-out for your client, is going to sell the day, along with the tool itself then sending a letter to the client. Says, hey, man, this is what we talked about today. Okay. So on the left side, let's see if he came up with the new version of the site. Let's refresh the site. Ta-da! Now, you guys have seen lots of party tricks from me, and I'm not saying, oh my God, everything's perfect all the time, but pretty crazy amazing that just by simply saying a few words, the header and footer, just like it could be for the main content, becomes completely customized. And he can flip this up and down. He's made multi-column footer items. He's made 4 levels of scrolling banners and live buttons and shit. I mean, come on. I'm not building design tools. I'm building smart tools. The important part about this is that now we've got a walkie-talkie that 99% likely you are not going to ever bother doing anything to adjust this. You're just going to have Fernando do it like Tony Stark as Jarvis. Next, I want to show you a couple of these other tools. Minute Launch Prospect. Minute Launch Prospect is for, let's say you have a group of customers that exist and their information is somewhere online, but this is also a tool to sell to your customers because they've got customers that they need to get to. You can pay hundreds to thousands of dollars a month for tools that prospect against what are otherwise free access resources like databases in the government. nonprofits, public companies, public spending from companies, political committees, Illinois attorneys, accountants, bookkeepers, doctors, dentists. 99% of these folks have their information. My son's hockey team, Falcons Hockey, is a public organization. It's a 501c3. They have to file online. So here this tool allows me either manually, like I'm doing, or auto prospect. Fernando, while you sleep, can prospect for you. Falcons Hockey has to do what all these companies do. Oh my God, they took in $2.14 million of revenue this year. I think I'm paying too much. They have $100,000 of cash laying around. Why do they keep asking me for so much money then? This guy, Dave Bradley, is the principal officer. If I look at the tax returns, which are available to me now publicly, holy crap, I can see he's paying out big salaries and hoarding a bunch of money. By the way, Dave Bradley was fired from the board of directors. So if you're watching, Dave, shame on you. Dave Bradley, if I want to send him a piece of my mind, I can click resolve email and it will search for and get and confirm his email. I know this is very tiny, but if you zoom in, you can kind of see the email name there. Now here's the magic. I generate a pitch and I have templates in the Minute Launch Prospect that allow me to, for all my products and services, have pre-made pitches. I can also generate A/B testing versions of these. If I generate this, it will generate a sales letter that says, hey, Dave, why don't you buy my products? Instead, I'm going to do something else. Hey, Dave, I want to give you a piece of my mind. Hey, Dave, it sounds nice that you're charging me $7,000 for hockey, but meanwhile, you're hoarding $100,000 of extra money and took in $2 million this year. Maybe you should cut us all a break and send us back a refund for $1,000 per parent. I'm being tongue-in-cheek, of course. Generate with that idea. That generates a custom pitch, A/B testable, that is going to add all of the company information and this prospect into the CRM instantly and either automatically send out the email with part of a campaign or will allow you to manually do it. So he wrote the letter with AI. Hey, Dave, I saw the Falcons Hockey Association pulled in $2 million this year. I was sitting on As a parent trying to pay these coaching fees, I have to ask, are we getting the best value? Blah, 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 blah. Okay. And it just wrote the email for me. Now I could save this as a draft, or I could send this immediately. I could copy it out and put it into Gmail. But if I push it to the CRM, it instantly adds Dave to the CRM along with all of the tags and the lists that I have associated with that company, filled all the fields out ready to use. And it's also got prospective drafts that I could use as alternatives that I could send now or copy to Gmail. And it sends the emails or saves the emails. So I also have those available to me. As a prospecting tool for free, this by itself is worth hundreds to thousands of dollars because it can use any public data source. If I want to search for Illinois attorneys, Spencer Lewis Foreman, he happens to be one. I can actually do the same thing to him. If I'm looking for anything, political action committees. So building lists of prospects, knowing what to send to them, having the logic built in, and then tracking, besides the queue and the pitch log, tracking the performance of what the different messages were, allows somebody using Fernando to save a fortune, make a fortune, and have it all into one box they own and control with the same dude running it. Next. I want to go Minute Launch receivables. Receivable. A lot of my clients have customers. The customers owe them a shit ton of money because they provided service to them on a contingent basis or on a basis of, net 60, 90, whatever. I've had clients who have said to me they have $500,000 to $1 million of receivables. This is a tool that allows the same logic with Fernando or human Fernando cooperation to take any data source. It could be an image, it could be paste, it could be CSV, it could be import from QuickBooks, it could be WooCommerce, and it creates a roster of customers that owe money. And instead of being a douchebag and sending people these like nasty letters like the collection agencies do, it allows AI and logic to be applied so that you can adjust things based upon the flavor and the position of the relationship. So let's say I have a good relationship with this customer and Amanda, and I don't want to be rude about it. She only owes $1,850. I can just tell this the same thing. Like, Amanda's really super nice, but she had to buy a new car and she needed a little time. She asked me about it. Send her a sweet letter that says it's okay to pay $200. Okay. So I just put in a prompt. Oh, sorry. My tool got wacky there. Hold on. Amanda's a sweet person. She's just having a rough time because her car needed to be replaced. Tell her it's okay to pay just $200. And then I say $200 is okay, and draft with AI. And what happens is this writes a custom email to the client, and I have 5 stages. Step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Most people will pay before they get to step 5, but it tracks and allows me to say in advance, here's the things I will say to them if they don't pay. So I can pre-prime all of these things. And notice on the right, it writes the letter, gives a pay now button, uses language that, is sweet enough. And it allows me to pre-prime a pump of 5 steps. And then in the event that Amanda pays, like let's say she does pay $200 and 1 penny, it will apply the payment. It also gives them, even if they don't use WooCommerce, a WooCommerce pay now page that connects to their Stripe account or whatever they're using, so that they can have a situation where the people can pay them even if they're using other systems like QuickBooks and other stuff. So now we see Amanda had paid $200, partial payment. It gives me a roster and good to go. If I wanted to give somebody a generic payment form, they just go to this public pay page. And any amount of money can be paid to take care of whatever things are done. This is like useful for dentists. I can't believe how many of my kids' dentist offices don't have a way to pay you online. They don't have a portal. You mentioned dentist. Oh, you read my mind. If I want to market to dentist office that are not part of. Yeah, well, okay. Sorry. You were actually asking, ironically, about the prospect. With the prospect tool, it's got a pluggable data source. So I haven't done this yet, but if I went online and let's say I go to Claude, because I'll just use him today. Oh, good morning, Jonathan. Jonathan and I are actually, longtime pals, and we're in cahoots with a lot of conversations on the same topic. So maybe you'll see some stuff from Jonathan and I. If I go here and I say, hey, Fernando, it's Spence. I'm building out some conversation in the live show about the Minute Launch Prospect tool. Lloyd asked me whether or not there's a public database source for dentists, just like lawyers. Can you tell me if there is or not? I'm sure there is, because everybody who does public service like this has a fiduciary responsibility that the governments want them to be on record for. So they may not give their emails, but the tool can take their other information and cross-reference against databases like Hunter and do it. So here we have the NPPES NPI registry. And it's actually even better because it has a free REST API. And so yes, I'm going to share this link in the chat. Create share link. Create a public link. Okay, I'm going to give this in the chat, actually, Lloyd. I'm going to include this over the weekend. I'll just add this in because I was already going to do it anyway. But if we were to go here, what's a link to try this in a website? So let's try their website and see what happens. See if it gives emails. I.e., does it give? Well, let's just go to the thing. The beauty of the world we live in is that all of this stuff is going to be everywhere. Like this isn't going away. This is only going to become more and more. So let's see if there's a guy named Johnson. I have no idea. Let's see what they get. Oh, that's weird. Abraham Johnson in Skokie, not too far from me. So here's the thing. Notice it doesn't have his email on here, but that doesn't bother me because, first of all, there's the office address. If you could, can you find an email for this guy so I can send him something? I'm just going to see whether Claude can find this. The point is, the tool that I built has services like hunter.io and so forth, and it can check and find and validate many emails. Now, if this guy is 100 years old, which he probably is, he just doesn't have an email, but he's probably got a fax number or a phone number, and he's got an address. Now, there are services that will send this old geezer a postcard, but he's probably not a customer of yours anyway. If I go to Dental Professionals of Skokie, I go in the Old Orchard Mall, Dental Professionals of Skokie. Let's see if they've got a website here. I think this is it. See, they have an email. So the point I'm making, just to answer this, is like, if it's not an old geezer, 99% likely they actually have a website, and the website has an email posted on it. And the tool is smart enough to scrape that. And what it's doing for you is it's actually just saving you time. The point being, the tool is inside of the website. And since it's inside of the website, we can keep track of all that prospecting. But then let's say you have customers, the same thing. All of the customers here can be added to our Fluent CRM, not only just with the correspondence, but with regard to how much they pay. We can also make them WooCommerce customers so that in WooCommerce, we can track whether or not they've paid me and what they've done. So like if we go over here, we can see here, I was showing Lloyd the other day, we could show them here that this is an account balance payment, right? See, account balance payment, 2323. We're using WooCommerce to take a credit card payment. And now they become a customer. And because they're a customer, they would typically, if I had set it up that way, also become a Fluent CRM contact. And in this case, I had not set it up, but the way that would be set up is in Fluent CRM. You just go integrations, and you would, I hadn't turned it on with this one. You turn on the integration with WooCommerce. That's part of the setup, and you're good. Okay. I know I'm going a little long, but I want to show you maybe one or two other things that are interesting. And then I want to go to the bigger picture. I'm going to show you this Minute Launch Laboratory and a live client. So I've got this client that I just mentioned who is brilliant, and he's very specific. Michelangelo, who we're building out this custom Hudson application for. He does construction. He wants to know when Fernando is doing what Fernando's doing. So I've explained to you before that I've already built tools for him and Steve Grant, and I've shown you here. What if Fernando has a laboratory that he can work with, just like the screenshot image of today that I made with Canva, which is like, what if you could work with Fernando, or the client could work with Fernando, just like, where is it here? I should have popped it on the screen first, but just like, look at all these shows we've had. Oh my God. I'll get to it eventually if I scroll long enough. You guys take a nap, come back. Oh my goodness. We've had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thumbnails. There it is. Just like me and Fernando working here in the laboratory. What if you have a situation where Fernando can safely construct with a prompt, either from his desktop version, in the site version, on your headset, through a Claude or Cursor. He can build the custom helper plugin that does all this crazy, amazing stuff, like dynamic documentation on how to use the actual software, Julie, by the way, this is like, with your Halise, this is the final outcome of all the things we've been building. So like when we get back together and talk, like this is the kind of stuff for Halise. The custom tools that this replaced are all here in his own dashboard. Notice what you do not see anywhere on the screen here. You do not see anything WordPress anywhere because it's irrelevant. But the point is, the laboratory does two things here. It allows him to build the plugin and allows Michelangelo or me to add new tasks with my microphone or remotely. It then, because Michelangelo wants that, allows Fernando to change the order, the priority, mark things as fixed for us to review and say yes or no, it needs more work. But now Michelangelo said to me, you know what, Spence, I'm on the phone, I'm in the field. It would make me feel better if I knew exactly where we were in the timeline with this stuff we're working on. So I had the laboratory build in this other feature where Fernando can take the roadmap of the phone call that we had on Fathom, just like I was telling you before remember, with Dave, with Michelangelo, with all my clients, I have Zoom phone calls, and Fathom memorializes all of the calls. So if I look for Michelangelo, see all these calls with him. I simply go to this call or calls, and I copy out the information here or tell Fernando about it. And then he uses that to build the timeline of what the plugin is going to do and when it's going to do it and everything else. Okay. So what does that mean? Well, look what happens here. Besides being editable by him or by me, I've got this portal link. It's a custom coded, like regeneratable, so it's not public link that allows him on his mobile phone or desktop or laptop to see our whole project along with the Gantt timeline. You will notice that I have got to get my shit together by tomorrow because phase 1 of this is due by April 4th. Today is April 3rd. Notice if I go into mobile view that this is here. If you have customers that do any kind of teamwork or other kinds of things, or just for yourself to deliver to your customer, this is mind-blowing because it made him feel significantly better because he can also comment and have that integrated. But now he has a tool. My friends have built products like Atarim and other things that work on web design stuff. This is like conceptually the same concept. It's conceptually the same idea where it's focused on the modern way of building stuff. So it's not about web design and what things look like, and it's not about marking up the screen. It's about we're working on building a solution, and the client's going to use it, and the client can now have not only the timeline, but can also have the information about feedback. We've taken this one step further in another client situation with the Video Instanter, because with the Video Instanter, we also have updated this laboratory with some features that will be part of the same plugin that will be part of the Minute Launch suite. It will be called Minute Launch Laboratory or ML Laboratory. And this one for the Dub Scheduler, we did this further task management where you can also upload your images or your other stuff. So in other words, in this case, if I needed to add attachments like the client did, I've actually got the ability to see what it is that needs to be done, which just makes it a little bit easier for the customer. It also makes it easier for Fernando because he now can see examples of what, where, when, why, and the client has been trained. Just use the built-in tool to take snapshots and then save it to Fernando's laboratory. But the bigger takeaway is Fernando, who starts for free, now will have a tool with the walkie-talkies to build from a prompt or from a phone call. So let me pause because for emphasis, and then I'm going to show you my finale. The new situation, and I am this close to outputting this, and John may or may not be here today because we were talking about this yesterday, is there's only two things valuable: human relationships and expediency or speed to market. I will be able to give you a tool that you literally will be able to say, hi, Fernando, it's Julie. And here's what I want to build. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, here's a phone call with the client. Blah, 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 blah. I, by the way, use that Whisper tool, which is available. Whisper Flow. It's available on Mac or PC. It's also available in your iPhone. So I was having lunch with my friend and maybe client partner, Sam Shepard, about a new product that we're building called Book Flipper. I literally had some really delicious ramen. Sam and I recorded the call. I came back. I gave Fernando what we talked about. Fernando built the application, launched it live in a demo sandbox where it's not done yet, but it's pretty close to being done as quickly as I just said, do it. And this is a tool for somebody. He does a lot of shopping for books at estate sales and stuff. We'll talk more about it later. But the point I'm saying is we had lunch yesterday. I came home with recording, and by the time I was having my coffee, it was already built. And that's some really crazy stuff. That is where our future lies with this. Now I'm going to show you something that's not quite ready for prime time, but I'm going to give you a hint at it because I've talked about it. I've told you before about, dating applications, coaching applications, things of that nature. Okay, so I want to get into this conversation because here's some updates. First of all, Minute Launch Coach is going to be called Minute Launch Learn. Minute Launch Coach is going to be Fernando. Minute Launch, I guess I was calling it like Cyrano, blah, blah, blah. A learning management system that's simple and easy, that has all of an influencer's or a company's or a client's videos, training materials, lessons, courses, everything else with the same tin can walkie-talkie and a mobile interface and a built-in payment gateway and membership. That is going to be called Minute Launch Learn. And it is multi-tenant capable. That is to say, it can instantly get the content from any person who has their information available publicly, either through LearnDash, through YouTube, for Vimeo, whatever. So I am showing you an example here of content. I have got clients like I've shown you in the past, Marnie or Alyssa Kuhn, but I've also got some public people using their public information. My intention is not to put up a multi-tenant website about dating advice with people without their permission. What I'm trying to demonstrate for you is you should have the consent of the influencer or whatever, because with this tool, you can offer them an additional way to distribute their content for money, and you can do it 100% for them, hands off, and you can give them the revenue, or vice versa. They can pay you and you can do that for them, but they're paying you to do that exclusively for them. That's the point of this model. So John, here's WP Tonic, and mobile friendly, instant branding from any influencer or any online source. That's the wrong button. I want to press this button. So if I want to watch any of the WP Tonic stuff, or if I want to go, you know what, like I want to search for Spencer Foreman. I heard he's been on the show occasionally. Okay. Now, here's the Spencer Foreman video. Welcome back, folks. John and I were talking. I've been on the show a couple times. This is outstanding way to watch it, because it won't work on the simulator, but in the real iPhone, it fills full screen. But it also makes it easy for me to ask questions in context about this video. And because I've taken all of the public data, and in some cases I'll show you in a second, all the lessons, it knows everything about everything, and it can answer the questions. So this by itself, imagine, because it's true, I can add in now instantly any particular person who has online content and give them a way to sell the stuff along with their lessons. Here's an example of the lessons. If I just go into the back end, I made some sample coursework. We'll go to the dashboard of this, what's again going to be called Minute Launch Learn, not Cyrano Coach Hub. Here's an example of courses. Instead of a complex Learn-LMS and all this other, crazy stuff, what if I made it simpler? And I need to go into, not Blaine Anderson, let's go into all coaches. Notice I have a toggle that I can mix and match or go to anybody. Here's how simple this stuff is. Fernando can be dumped all of the videos that somebody has, all of the lessons they have. It could be given a connection to an outside source like their Fathom transcripts, and he can make all of the content. I have used a multi-part interface here. So it gives me the simplicity of courses, lessons, quizzes, certificates, documents, but under the hood, I can just pop right into the full editor of a regular WordPress post editor, so I can use whatever I'm familiar with, including the ability to use the media library and the WordPress blocks and so on and so forth. This makes it stupidly easy, because look at how elegant and simple it is now to get something that looks awesome for, here's a course, and a course has multi-part lessons in it, which I can drag and drop and reorganize. If I want to, I can add quizzes and certificates. But any of these things can be done just as simple as pressing a sample content or doing an import. And when I want to look at it, I can see it on the front end, right? So if I go over here to preview this, here is a course on the front end. It's got the kind of simplicity and elegance that people need when they're doing it on mobile, because on a mobile phone, I don't have a lot of room for shenanigans, right? I just want to consume the course, consume the lesson. Just get me to the Greek. Now, here's also what it looks like when I am looking at all the courses. I can go in list view. I can go in grid mode. It's just as simple as, okay, mobile friendly. I want what I want when I want it. Click on it, watch the video, do the lesson. Okay, let's take it one step further, and then I'm going to call it a day because I hear my voice. Now I've got the ability to, I want to show you one last thing in this, sorry. I want to add somebody new as a coach. They've decided to join my deal where I'm able to say, I'm going to do a revenue share with you. I'll do all of the work for your online content, and I want to share with you that content. So for example, let's be fair. Let's go to YouTube, WP Launchify. Let's say this clown over here wants to join up. Okay. All I have to do is in advance, add a new coach. Amazon is here. I add a new coach by putting in their channel, and I put in their website here for the branding, wplaunchify.com. I simply click auto setup with AI. That's it. In 10 to 30 seconds, everything is set up for the new coach with their branding. Everything of his content or her content will be pulled from the public source into their coach profile. If they have Learn Dash content or other content, all we have to do is give the import URL for the content, or a JSON file or a dump file. In other words, we've got ways to bring in all of the Learn Dash stuff instantly. So I can convert the entire site and all their content. And while of course I can adjust it, let's just go here to the coaches channel. Sorry, I'm scrolling around a little bit. Let's go here to the all coaches thing. And now what I want to do is synchronize. So channel sync. And notice here it says WP Launchify. If I just do sync new or bulk sync all YouTube content, I will get all of the videos off the WP Launchify channel in the new system. So the takeaway from all this is this is a platform now that replaces LearnDash and building custom sites and yada, 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 because nobody cares, because they've got agentic agents going out and finding stuff and doing stuff. And when they consume it, they're consuming it on their phone or their desktop or laptop, like, I need it now, and they're going to talk to it. So this is a mechanical way in the same box, the same suite of tools, that you can sell one or more people on any number of business ideas. Now, what about the sales pages and everything else? Well, this is where it gets interesting. And this is the last thing I'll talk about today because I'm at 90 minutes. One of the businesses that I was mentioning that to me is like a completely white labeled version of the Mint Launch system is the Cyrano. And I've explained to you how this worked before, but because I have clients like Marnie who do dating, and I also date, and I use tools like Bumble and Hinge and Tinder and so forth. But people who also have job interviews or are training, new employees, people who are interacting with their clients or their customers, these things I'm going to show you are equally applicable. I needed a way to manage these dating relationships, right? And so I can give you a quick preview, but I don't want to show too much. Let's say I have a situation where I'm talking to somebody, these are actual real people, but like I'm talking to somebody who speaks Russian or fluent Spanish, or they're in Japan, like for David, they have clients who go to Japan to play baseball. First of all, I needed a way to help people, guys in this case, interacting with that person. So if there was a person that I connected with and I want to interact with them, the tool will help. But while I'm talking to you, I don't really want to show the real person. So I built a simulator. Now with the simulator, I have a scenario where, let's toggle this on the right way. I have to go to one conversation and then I have to toggle the simulator. I can go to the simulator, and now this is a person that I invented who has attributes that I decide. What does that mean? That means that I can build a cohort, an audience of people who like skeet shooting, or women who are interesting to me, like obviously they're fake, but who would allow me to, for marketing purposes, demonstrate my product. But when I started doing that, I thought, wait a second, since they already allow me to demonstrate my product and I can build their personalities and it creates their images and they can speak and there's even video, holy cow, I could take this farther. So instead of saying, hi, I'm Spence, I'm interested in meeting you. Okay. Instead of being a knucklehead, I can use the tool, which was Cyrano, to do better. So watch, if I grab her profile, Adrian's profile, let's refresh this. Cyrano has the capability of grabbing the profile of Adriana, adding in her photos, giving me a chance to do two things. This is, by the way, a fake woman. I can practice using my product in public and make videos about it, but I can also practice using the tool to practice the thing that the tool is for. So if I click grab the chat, I can now tell this, what's my strategy? Well, my strategy is to be flirty and direct. And she speaks, let's say, I don't know, native Portuguese or something, or French, let's say French. Okay. So I use the tool to interact with her. And the tool is what is essentially making it possible for me to demonstrate why this is of value. Think about this for a second for what I'm about to show you next. I have a tool that overlays into a real website, grabs the information, allows me, like Cyrano de Bergerac, to get the kind of information I need to succeed in getting better at the thing, whether it's speaking French or Spanish, or whether it's a strategy for what to say to somebody, for getting a job or interviewing a customer. But now I can also use the tool to say things like, can you say something sweet to her in French? Like, I don't speak a lot of French, but I speak Spanish. It can speak multi-languages. It knows what's going on in the conversation. It has the tone, the context of who I am and who this person is, because their personality is listed out here, or I can build it into the actual simulation. So what's happening here, if you're following me, is I've got a simulator of my tool overlaying onto the real product website, hiding the real content so I can do for marketing. But in this case, it also can give me things like, look, tu es magnifique, je souris, tonne de historia que les je n'ai pas bien. I speak Spanish, not French. Okay. I did that and I go, wait a second, hold on. Video game time. What if I go the next level? And here's the next level. Here's the Cyrano platform, and this is a real website. The Cyrano platform, I had Fernando build with me. Fernando knows everything about what we built into it. Fernando knows how to build web pages. So Fernando built the sales and marketing website, web page, all of the pricing points, everything. We had a long conversation last weekend, and the whole entire business, including the website, the marketing, the connections, the gatekeeping, all of it is built by Fernando. Yes, that's true. Under the hood, the product, which is in this case called, this is Cyrano. This is a tool that I'm going to be selling in 3 ways. Fully hosted as a platform for anybody to use. Second of all, hosted for individuals, because as you probably were thinking, if you're like me, those individual personalities and people could be made safe for work, sort of safe for work, or not safe for work at all. But they can also be programmed with the information from any of the coaches on how to respond to them, and any of the tools that are available to me, like you, for building what they look like, what they say, how they sound, and so forth. It's a full-blown simulator on top. But Fernando built the whole business, including the settings of things like how much to charge and how to take the money. It's all built in here, one step. But here's the final part. What kind of freaked me out was, as I started using this, I go, wait a second. Since this is mobile friendly, what if I go full sim mode? Kind of like, what if I go 100% simulator, where I am building? Yes, this is Lloyd brings up a good question. Won't this allow somebody who's nefarious to game someone? Yeah, the simulator only works for me. It's local to my browser. This is not me putting anything into Bumble. But you are correct if you're saying, if I want to fake somebody out as how good I am at speaking Russian, yes. But that's already possible with ChatGPT. In fact, the girl at the top, that first girl, she and I are very friendly these days. She speaks 0 English. She lives in the neighborhood here for some reason, but she doesn't have English skills yet, and I don't have Russian skills yet. So she asked me, how do you speak so fluently and know all the right phrases? And I said to her, I'm a software developer and I wrote this product. And she was amazed and pleased, because she said, oh my God, you got to share that with me, because it's so hard for me to use ChatGPT. So I think you'd be disingenuous if you thought that people aren't going to be using these tools. In 5 minutes, I'm going to have a thing in my eyeglasses that's going to do this and into my ear. You should, as a human being, tell people you're using a tool, or do things that you would do only if you were doing it yourself. Here's the full simulator mode. This allows me to set up an ecosystem. This is, for me now in Cyrano, as a product, but this is white label brandable. I can create any number of people in a cohort. Could be men, women, could be customers, could be related to the brand I'm selling, whatever. This is for dating at the moment. But the point of the story is, I've got a situation where I'm in full sim mode. I just kicked out the wrong button. When I'm in full sim mode, I can actually do something that I personally think is, you're going to roll your eyes because everybody knows this, but if you ever saw the movie Her, but if you also think in terms of people talking to their chatbots, these are not real women that were created of prompts that I gave to the tool, but that allows me to use the tool that gives me language skills, practice skills, knowledge skills to practice interacting with them. Now, there's a multitude of ways this could work out, But imagine you've got a situation where employer-employee, you've got coworkers, you've got a situation where everybody wants to interact. These could be real people. This could be, instead of all fake cohort people, could be real people in a social group. And then they're using the tool to connect to other expertise of data sources, coaches, and otherwise. In other words, as an interface, this makes a lot of sense, because right now I'm able to simulate anything I want to do with interacting, and I can adjust the tone and temperature from PG-13 to mature to look out. But the point still is that now I can have the things that would be difficult in one easy to use space, and it's also mobile friendly. And the takeaway for you guys is all of this, from the sales pages to the marketing to the interactive interface to the whatever, all of this is built by Fernando. And so I'm going to finish off by saying, thank you for taking a journey with me today. But the takeaway is, if you saw, I don't think I'm Tony Stark, but if you saw Tony Stark and he said, hey, would you like my Jarvis? You'd be like, yeah, how do I get my Jarvis? And for me, I'm saying, hey, do you like my Fernando? You and your clients can start talking to your version of him for free. And then if you like, you pay a certain amount of money, or they do, and he becomes smarter, better. He has all these tools. He can be branded to your thing. He can do the marketing, the sales pages, the collections. He could track the performance. He can help you, hurt you, do anything you want. He's at your control, but he's somebody in a box that you own and control, and isn't not listed out on 50 different websites, and doesn't cost you $3,000 of overages, and so on and so forth. And I think that's the takeaway from all of this. And by the way, use your headset to talk with your words. Okay. Thank you guys for taking this amazing journey with me today. This is probably going to get better, faster, easier, because once I nail this down, he and I this weekend, besides getting the coach turned into Fernando's interface and getting the sales pages knocked out, is everything that I've been just throwing out there is going to be put into this format. Fernando and Fernando's tools and everything you can do, but it's going to be spitting out all of these products as sales pages that you can buy a la carte, you can have included in the bundle. They could be used for white label purposes with your customers. And then finally, the last part, which is I have to do some research on it, but I've been seeing a lot of information presented to me about what we call faceless or headless YouTube. You know, because I've spoken about it so much, that YouTube is the easiest, best channel, along with maybe Reels or TikToks. But like YouTube, because it's owned by Google, gives you a free pass to their algorithm. I've got some systems in place that I think are going to work, where imagine you take an idea from a client yourself, you pour it into Fernando. Not only does he pitch the client on the idea, blah, 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 and the client says yes, and here's your $5,000, but he can create endless headless content about your products and services that draws in new customers or new traffic for yourself or your clients. I think that is going to be the final bridge to this, because there was a fellow I read about who he spent like 20 grand on Claude and this and that, and he made something for Ozempic users. I don't use Ozempic, but a lot of my friends do, and turned it into like $40 million of revenue by himself. And then it went to like a larger number. I don't know if the number, it was 400 million, but it was crazy number. And it was because he utilized all the tools. And what I'm suggesting to you is I have all the systems and tools in place to do the very same thing, where the end result of this is, for anybody who currently uses any of the big four or other CRMs, anybody who's on WordPress sites or otherwise, somebody who's just a business owner of any kind, to essentially be selling them Fernando and Fernando's laboratory and all of his tools. And it will do everything from just talking to Fernando, including launching, managing, running the business. And I do not think that is a pipe dream based upon what I'm showing you here. And I also think that the faster you do it, the better. So if you see this video, my system is easy. You have a free call with me. Fernando listens. We finish the call. Fernando writes you a letter telling you everything we're going to build. I could, in most cases, like I showed you with Sam Shepard's thing, build you the thing, at least the VIP, within an hour. You say yes or no, you want it. You give me $5,000, and then you use whatever it is for $197 a month for as long as you want, and you keep everything that's yours from the build out. But I'm saying stick with me, and I can continue to have my guys help out. Now, one last thing, last thing. I know you are, Julie. Thank you. Anne had mentioned something. She has been utilizing the handoff documents. When her guys have trouble, I say, just have them send me a handoff document and my guys will fix it. The laboratory has a built-in feedback loop, not only for your own Fernando to fix it, but for him to report back to my Fernando, who's writing the underlying plugins, about bugs and instantly fix it. And the weird thing to say this is, it's the greatest thing ever, but it's the scariest thing ever, because we're just building ourselves out of the loop to a certain extent. But isn't that what the dream was of the Jetsons or Star Wars? Like, the droids are supposed to do the work. The problem is we've got some people in the world right now who want to use droids to do harmful things to people. But those of us who want to do helpful things, we can make that dream happen too. So on that positive note, have an amazing weekend. I love all of you guys. Thanks for spending so much time with me today. I told you I wasn't going to do a long one, and I did an hour and 49 minutes. But I think today was useful. Fernando's going to break this out into shorter sound bites and other things as some fodder. So that's it. I'll talk to you soon.